Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fire and Fury Part 1. And now that this has tweeted out, and I've been tweeting it out, and at least 2 guests, and they didn't show up. And, unlike stereotypes for Cubans, I'm actually on time with my streams, or try to be most of the time, if not all the time. Decided a long time ago that with everything going on with North Korea and the United States and the United Nations, that we needed to go back to when and where all this started, how all this came about, and the history of the sanctions and resolutions from their inception. So we're going to start with the United Nations side of the story. We're going to start with when the very first resolutions and sanctions got placed on North Korea, and we're going to work from there. Once I open up PowerPoint and start doing the presentation, I am not going to be able to see live chat, but that is what my wonderful hubby Ronan is for. He'll be monitoring live chat and answering your questions or asking me the questions so I can answer them. We're tag teaming this tonight in hopes that it'll go okay. So let's go ahead and disappear this particular stream and get this presentation going, shall we? All right, here we go. And all right, Fire and Fury, the United Nations resolutions against North Korea. We're going to go over the history and why they were placed in the first place.
Nightbot just came on.
Yay, Nightbot's finally working. Woot.
You had to go live.
Yeah, you may have to try and share this out to Twitter, I don't know. All right. Yeah, there's a lot going on between the UN, US, North Korea, and China right now, and I felt the need to do this series to walk you through all the madness in hopes that you can walk away a little more knowledgeable. So, we're going to... You see, on October 9th, 2006, North Korea performed its first nuclear missile test. This led to resolution 1718, the first of many. The resolution was passed 5 days later on the 14th of October. From this, we have the following provisions. And as you can see, there's at least 6 in total, ending with the current year.
Dear.
What?
Fucking move.
Hi, Tailed. How are you? So, yeah, this started way back in 2006, believe it or not. And we've been at it ever since. So, before we get ready, there's a couple of terms we need to familiarize ourselves with. Not many people know the resolutions and sanctions
Tommy made it.
are not new to North Korea. In fact, the very first United Nations resolutions was passed in 2006, and there have been 6 additions to the original. The United Nations Security Council comprised of 10 permanent seats and 5 seats in which the countries were voted into holding. These seats rotate every 2 years. This was mandated in 2007. So in 2006, the 5 seats that were being held, rotated out, were being held by Tanzania, Argentina, Japan, Denmark, and Greece. Okay.
Okay, honey.
What?
We have Doubting Tommy, Hellbound Iscariot, and Sir Wolfie have joined us.
All right. Hi, Hellbound. Hi, Wolfie. Hi, Doubting Tommy. And we've got our Diz in the chat. All right. Let's see. We have the following provisions. As you can see, the first round of resolutions or provisions and sanctions was pretty stiff. Every 90 days, a committee, which was composed of Security Council members, had to provide a report stating whether or not North Korea was towing the line. Little did they know this was just the beginning. The 6-party talks included South Korea, North Korea, China, I know that's a typo, sorry, Japan, Russia, and the United States. This resulted in denuclearization. And I had to slow down for that one because it's one of those words you can trip over if you're not too careful. All right, here we go. The member states are prohibited to participate in the direct or indirect sale, supply, or trade to North Korea. So here we have heavy weaponry out. We've got spare parts are out. We've got materials and technologies which can contribute to what they're doing out of the picture. And luxury goods are out of the picture. Okay, the member states were also to freeze the following funds that were going to provide support for the programs you see popping up on your screen. Okay, the 15 members of the Security Council were supposed to report on the compliance of the sanctions every 90 days. All right, let's see. Okay, here we go. May 25th, 2017, North Korea does another test. The Security Council had to regroup, and they decided to add the sanctions already in place and tighten the noose in regards to the embargo that was placed in 2006. This was also the sanctions that spawned the 7-member panel of experts to assist the Security Council in enforcing the resolution. This panel had a 1-year term and had to make regular reports on possible violations and also on how to better improve implementation. Later resolutions extended the mandate of the panel of experts. So you can see we have here, the list is growing, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down any because now we have nuclear test number 2. All right. They even, yeah, I noticed another typo. Boy, I should have taken more time to proofread this. Sorry, guys. All right. Let me see. All right, here we go. North Korea launches a satellite December 12th, 2012. This led to Resolution 2087. This was a direct violation of the first 2 resolutions in 2006 and 2009, which strictly banned them from developing technology of this nature. A call for remaining vigilant went out, and the Sanctions Committee issued an implementation assistance notice. If there was a refusal to allow an inspection for the flag state by its flag state, and we'll get to that one in a minute. These 2 additions were meant to clarify some points and also to point out countries or individual entities who may be helping North Korea circumvent the sanctions. This may be when the USN started suspecting China's aid in North Korea. We all know they had a hand in it. Let me go back in there so we can go back over these steps again, because I know I probably went through that a little fast.
Hello, Wikipedia.
Hey, Wikipedia. All right, so these are one of the reasons why they did Resolution 2087. They felt the first couple were a little ambiguous. They needed to tighten them up a little and make them a little more succinct, a little more easier to understand. But again, this did not stop North Korea, as we know. And China has had a history with aiding South Korea in circumventing a lot of these sanctions that were placed by the United Nations. So, February 12th, 2013, North Korea has a 3rd nuclear test, which leads to Resolution 2094. Yeah.
Wikipedia brought up a very, very important fact, something we've discussed numerous times.
Yeah.
Technically, the Korean War never ended. That's correct. We're just under a ceasefire with North Korea.
Exactly. Yep. All right, here we go. Slide 7. Indirect violation of the previous sanctions. North Korea launched another missile, which led to the resolution passed March 7th, 2013. This was adopted without any resistance. This was also the first time the Security Council openly called out North Korea on its uranium enrichment program. This also led, if you hear a bunch of thumping, that's Zeus hitting the back of my chair. This also led to Council agreeing with the task force recommendations. This resolution expands, adding nuclear and missile technologies that had a dual use. Luxury goods were now banned imports. This resolution also expanded the qualifications to freeze assets of people or entities that were aiding or acting for those who were already sanctioned. The goal for 2094 was to make it much harder to further the progress of its nuclear and ballistic missile program. It was made to do this by hampering North Korea's access to hard currency and equipment it needed to build ordnance and continue uranium enrichment. But as we know, here we go. March 2nd, 2016, North Korea fires another round of nuclear testing. That should be the 5th, I think, not the 3rd. and launched a satellite for the second time, further flying in the face of any resolutions or any sanctions that the United Nations has put on them. All right, sanctions now placed embargoes on small arms and light weapons. The resolution aimed to cease further progress on North Korea's nuclear missile programs by keeping any states from specialized teachings or trainings of its nationals, which could further North Korea's proliferation. They also placed emphasis on North Korea's neglect to meet the needs of its people in order to continue development of its program. It further added following to its list of embargoes and bans, new interdictions for the member states, 16 more individuals and 12 more asset freezes and travel bans, and the repatriation of North Korean, I lost my spot, and or other nationals who were working on behalf of the Security Council. There were still more prohibitions added as well. As you can see, they were trying to do anything they could to keep Kim Jong Un from having a missile or nuclear program, but he persisted. So now we're up to September 9th, 2016. After a decade of sanctions and Kim Jong Un continuing, they expanded the sanctions even further. These expansions included hits to the number of North Korean diplomats, shaking their finger, figuratively, at North Korea about the treatment of its people. Let's see. And to respect its people. Bans on or imports, helicopters, or transfers. Let me see. Oh, shit. I'm too fast. I keep leaving here so I can click and make sure I'm on point, and I keep fucking losing my spot on my Kindle. Blooper! I know the next one's going to go a whole lot smoother. And temporarily stop science and technical cooperation unless it was related to medical treatments. North Korea had to notify the UN of coal purchases coming from their country, and the panel of experts had to hold meetings to address concerns and come up with a plan to enforce the measures in 23-21. Again, Kim Jong Un disregarded all the sanctions and circumvented what he could. To present day and Resolution 2371. The present sanctions that have been adopted as of August 5th, by this time, China has even told Kim Jong Un to back down, and he has refused. They showed their disdain for his flagrant use of dwindling resources to continue his tests instead of bolstering the well-being of his people. The UN stressed its support for the commitment shown by the 6 parties and also emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and Northeast Asia as a whole. Further bans on ore, seafoods, and other minerals were placed along with sanctions for the Foreign Trade Bank, port access, and North Korean laborers being exported to other countries. This resolution asked Interpol to post special notices on North Korean travel bans and give the panel of experts even more power for sanction enforcement. And that's the end of the PowerPoint presentation. So I can turn my camera back on and talk to people. Yeah, the Korean War never ended. A lot of people don't remember that. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like today, I'm going to cover tomorrow in the news Trump's executive order. Now that, you know, Kim Jong, he's not going to stop. It's become evident now that he doesn't care what China says. He doesn't care what Russia's doing or what Russia is saying. They're going to continue. And as of this morning's newscast, there are 10 African countries that are being actively investigated for aiding Korea by doing exports and imports and shuffling money back and forth. This includes munitions and military training with personnel, possibly even setting up an intelligence network with one of the 10 countries. Let me see if I can find that particular story from this morning, because I know I haven't deleted it yet. Yep, there's my talking points. Let me scroll down. Those of you that were here this morning probably heard this. So, let's see. All right, this is what the UN is investigating for those of you that missed this morning's newscast. The possible training of Congo and Angolan troops, the sales of automatic weapons to the Congo, the sales of arms and military radios to Eritrea, God, I know I mispronounced that, the sale of anti-aircraft missile systems to Mozambique, repairs and upgrades to surface-to-air missiles and other air defense radar systems in Uganda, $12.5 million worth of military-related contracts to Tanzania. That's just the start. The UN is also looking into possible infractions by Benin, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. They're also suspicious as to whether or not North Korea is building an intelligence gathering center and munitions factory in Namibia. So all that's going on. So we have these investigations going on, these sanctions that he has basically ignored since 2006. Which means the more sanctions got put on the country, the more he made his people suffer just so he could continue enriching uranium, doing his test on his ICBMs, and coming up with nuclear ordnance. It was obvious enough to start it and announce it. Yeah, we must be living in an alternate reality, and also my Democrat friend showed up. I need to start looking for a job because things might get hairy. Oh. Good luck with the job hunt, Hellbound. So it's when these, I remember saying you can't sanction a madman. His father, Kim Jong Un, was not all that even-kiltered either, but he knew what lines not to step over. Kim Jong Un has not only stepped over these lines, he's jumping back and forth on the line, daring us to do something. The last couple of missile tests flew over Japan, and measurements have it being able to reach Guam and Alaska as well. So we don't know how far he's going to take this, but we know how far he's taken it so far. And because of the last bans on ore and seafood exports, there are northern towns in North Korea that are suffering from the seafood industry being heartily cut off. Meaning there are people in the northern regions of North Korea that are losing their jobs, that are losing their livelihood, and they don't know what to do. Doubting Tommy, every missile test has gotten him one step closer to war. Yes, it has. I completely agree. It has gotten him one step closer to war. And that is what is scary, because one madman can spark a whole world war. We saw it with Hitler. And it looks like we're seeing it. I don't want to say that we're going to walk into another war. But Kim Jong Un is showing no signs of stopping. Not from what I've seen, not from what Ronan has seen, not from any of the conversations that I've been having with people in my Discord. He is bound and determined to prove something without any regards to his current realistic situation, which is, in the grand scheme of the world, he's a spit in the bucket. Doubting Tommy. Yep, they are allies with Russia. Who know what will happen with that? Well, Russia and China both have told Kim Jong Un to cool it, knock it off, stop it with the testing, and he's ignoring all of his allies that are telling him to hold it. Hellbound is scary. If North Korea is a communist country, then why isn't Kim Jong Un trying to help his people instead of wasting it on fucking nuclear and possibly bioweapons? Because that's the way a communist dictatorship works.
To be able to basically, what he's building up to, and this is what it's going to come down to and everything, you either do this or I'm going to do this. Eventually he's going to issue an ultimatum for all of these things to be removed, or else he's going to press a button.
Yeah. He's not going to worry about his people, Hellbound Iscariot. That's the whole problem. If you look at not only North Korea, but other communist countries, Cuba, which is our neighbor, is in just as bad a shape. I mean, this is a failed ideological government structure. It has never worked. Communism doesn't work, but they continue to try and implement it. And the people that suffer under communist government is the people, because it is sort of a caste system in and of itself. The people that are actually in the Communist Party, in the tight-knit parts and inner echelons of the parties, are the ones that are living it up. The elite are the ones of everything, the best of the food, the best of the health care, the best of the shelters. So anything that they can get in the country, they're giving to whoever Kim Jong Un favors, and also shuttling over it to their missile system, missile testing, and their missile programs. He doesn't care about his people. He's tunnel visioned. This one missile on getting this one system working because he wants to prove to the world that he can be a superpower.
He wants what's on his mind. And now let's just be blatantly honest. This is what's on his mind. He wants to do what no other North Korean leader has been able to do: break the will of the U.S.
And he's not going to.
It's not going to happen.
No.
He got the wrong person in office, number one.
No.
Trump will just look at him and tell him to go to hell.
Yeah, Diz said his father knew to draw the crazy at his borders mostly. Kim wants to play and has no worldwide view because he grew up inside his father's regime. He thinks he's a god.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Doubting Tommy, yes, they are telling him no, but if war was to start, will their allies join is the question. That is the question. That is a very good question to pose. Because to me, if China and Russia continue to side with him and try and back him up in this, we've got at least one army that hasn't seen combat, which means they're combat ready. But then you have to ask yourself, is China's military being combat ready and fresh for combat actually ready for actual combat?
I don't think so. We've actually got veterans of conflict in command and everything, where they have a numbers advantage. We have a lot of advantages they don't.
Yeah. And I don't think Putin is ruthless. I will give him that. But Putin is also intelligent.
Yeah, you're on your own, buddy.
Yeah, Putin said that he was on his own. Putin is intelligent. He knows how far he can take something, and he knows that North Korea, Kim Jong Un, is in the wrong. So that is why he is trying to convince Kim to cool his jets, basically. Because he knows that if it's another world war, I mean, let's face it, we're still over in Syria. Oh, God, my hair is falling everywhere. We're still over in Syria, and so's Russia. Diz, no, China knows better, and Putin may talk big, but short of cyber, he knows we crush, and on cyber, we haven't used 99% of our D-Day programs.
Yeah, he's correct.
Okay.
On that and everything. We don't back to these people other than just saying, hey, you know what? We know you did this and everything. You might want to knock it off.
Yeah.
But if it came down to it, let's face it and everything. We're putting those THAAD systems out for a reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to reach the U.S. with anything.
Yeah, we started.
I doubt very seriously he would get anything to Guam because there's going to be THAAD systems in place. That was
the first point of contention after the testing that happened last year, not even this year. After he fired his missiles off in September, the U.S. said, okay, we're going to send you THAAD. Yeah, it's an anti-missile program that we shipped over and have assembled in South Korea.
Okay, the THAAD system is basically the system of missiles we use to shoot down other missiles, Tommy.
Yeah, let me see if I can look that up real quick. So we can clarify what THAAD is. All right, give me a second. My computer's not the fastest thing in the world. Let me close Twitter. Get it up a little. I hope. Let me see. Diz, when Iran didn't listen, we installed a program to their nuclear facility that over 6 months destroyed it, and they weren't even threatening us.
Yeah.
That. Oh, I know. They're in there. There we are. Okay, here we go. All right, it's loading it up a lot faster. I hope.
It is
Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. An image of what it looks like. Diagram around here somewhere.
There
might be. And I disappear again. This is what THAAD looks like implemented. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sir Wolfie. That's what it looks like when they're firing the missiles off. Oh, there's a diagram. That's one of the THAAD missiles right there. Let me give it a couple of seconds to clarify and clear it up a little. Because it's going to take a while to finish loading. One of the rockets that THAAD fires off. Oh, Diz's friend is working on the new model. They just released it. Mm-hmm. Is a diagram. Will you hurry up? I know I don't have the best computer in the world. I don't think it's going to clear up anymore. Let me cut my camera off. See if that helps any. It should. And that HD camera screws everything up. All right, cool. Oh, that's the one I used way back when. All right, this is an actual diagram of THAAD itself. Yep, there we go. Made by Lockheed Martin. So that's what we have sitting in South Korea right now, aimed toward North Korea, in order to take down any incoming threats. The past couple of times that Kim Jong Un has tested his missiles, South Korea said we can do that too, and showed that they were very accurate with their missile placement and their missile launches. So every time North Korea tends to buck up, as the saying goes, South Korea goes, oh, we can do that too.
Yeah, it's right now. It's still just a whole lot of posturing. He's posturing. We're counter posturing, and and everybody's just, well, we're scared. Be scared, because if he pulls the trigger, I can guarantee you, everything what comes back at him, and everything ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah, and we do have that military base on Guam because he's dead set on Guam and shooting shit at Japan. Now I'm going to be frivolous here for a moment. You don't want to just like you don't want to mess with us, you don't want to mess with Japan. These are people that the only reason they surrendered in World War II is because we dropped 2 atomic bombs on their behinds. And these are the people that he wants to mess with. I don't get it. This to me shows that he is off his rocker. Completely and totally off his nut, as I like to say. So this was part 1. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it didn't go too fast. The next presentation is going to be let me see, Doubting Tommy. I just feel bad for the North Korean people that are going to end up paying for this. Yeah, they already are paying for it.
They're paying for it now. They're paying for it daily.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get, they don't have probably, not even a quarter. They probably don't get 15% of the goods that are manufactured worldwide that we get.
Yeah.
They went from being a poor, war-torn country and everything to a dirt-poor, beat-up country who is, basically stuck behind a man that is bound and determined to drag his people into hell. And he thinks a lot of people are going to rush in and back him up. He thinks China's going to rush in and back him up. China's closed off their borders.
Yeah.
And everything. It ain't so that they can come rushing in and help him.
No.
It's so that when the shooting's done and everything, they can meander in and everything and claim that land as part of China.
Because, they want to claim that part as China. South Korea wants to reunite Korea under one flag and one government. So you have 2 governments vying for this land. China, who wants to annex it, and South Korea, who wants to reunite its old country.
They got those troops on the border because another reason is to keep refugees from pouring in.
Yeah. He keeps circumventing these things, and it's getting to the point where the UN, in my opinion, has got to come to the consensus that these sanctions and these resolutions aren't working. All it's doing at this point is strangling the Korean people, figuratively speaking, because what little is coming into the country, Kim is using it for his missile program. With how much South Korea has been our ally, we'll make sure it's their land.
Oh, yeah, damn right.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. They've been with us since the beginning of the Korean War. So we're going to keep an eye on how this plays out. We'll give you updates on the Morning Brew, and when I get set up to be able to turn out some really new and fast updates with a new computer. I'll be doing that on my secondary news channel. Yeah, fuel to the fire, exactly. So on that note, thank you guys again for coming. And part 2 is going to be China's relationship with North Korea and how that relationship has developed at least since 2006, moving up, because that's the year that I want to start with and move up to keep everything on an even keel and pretty much in a line. But in the morning, I'll be covering what Trump has done with his executive order. So I hope to see you guys there. You have a nice evening, and catch you guys next time.